Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. This time is an updated deck profile on my Scrap Dinosaurs. So yes, for my dinosaur deck, I am still running the Scrap engine simply because the Scraps in general just give you so much value, especially the fact that they pop cards, which is really good considering you're running the baby dinosaurs. And yeah, you just get a lot of advantage off of it. It also helps that Scrap Raptor is a dinosaur monster, which is searchable. So yeah, you can imagine like just how crazy this deck can be. Now, of course, Miscellaneous Source is still at 1, but honestly, that should be fine considering that there are ways to recycle it anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, like I said in my post, that I decided to go on a slightly different direction with this deck because last time I was trying to go with like Nigeria Beast, which unfortunately didn't work out because I didn't realize that you needed an Earth tuner and an Earth non-tuner as well. So yeah, and since I wasn't running Reaperdocus, yeah, that was my mistake. And also, honestly, I decided to cut that strategy entirely because Reaperdocus and Nappies was just taking up extra deck space when I could be running something a lot better. So yeah, I decided to, change it up. But anyway, figured I'd show you guys what I got this time around, and well, let's get started. So as before, my main deck is 40 cards, starting off with probably one of the best boss monsters ever. 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. So everyone already knows what this does. It's a Book of Eclipse, can attack all monsters, and if they're in defense mode, he sends them to the grave, and you can inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. This is especially good against like the Sword Soul matchup because like as soon as they summon their first monster, and even if they declare to activate the token, you just simply have to use this effect, pop a card from your hand or on the field, and then do Book of Moon or Book of Eclipse as I mentioned earlier, and they can't even synchro summon it while it's face down. So yeah, like I think dinosaurs can definitely do a lot of damage this format. Now keep in mind, this deck can still lose to back row heavy strategy, especially Eldritch now that skill drain is at 3. So luckily I did adjust my strategy for that problem. But overall, yeah, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is going to be like one of the best monsters this format. So I would definitely try this out. Next up, 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. It's funny that the OCG had this limited for quite a while. I think it's now back at 2 for them, but we've always had it at 3. This is one of your main searchers, and it's also a Foolish Burial for your dinosaur monsters too. So yeah, Soul Eating Oviraptor is just good. And also he has a reborn effect too. So Soul Eating Oviraptor is nothing to sleep at. So yeah. Next, 2 Animdoran Archosaur. This basically just gives you instant access to your double evolution pill. Much better than Overtex Squatless because that card is bricky as hell. So that's why I'm not running it ever again. Next, 2 Baby Cerosaurus. Definitely one of the best cards to play because, once it's popped by an effect, it has a mandatory clause where you have to special summon a level 4 or below dinosaur. And the same rulings go with Petit Pteranodon, only this one summons level 4 or higher. The only catch with this one is that that monster cannot attack this turn. So, but honestly, that's not going to be much of a problem because it's considering like if you're going for setup, this deck can actually have multiple disruptions at once, and that's what I like about it. So, oh, and I guess just to kind of throw it out there, this deck is kind of like a going first deck. But, this deck is also explosive going second, too, especially, again, with Tyranno being able to clear boards. Yeah, like, this deck can do so much on either fronts. For the one-ups, 1 Miscellaneous Source because it's at 1, but it's mainly your protection. And it also gives you access to one of your other dinosaurs if you need to. 1 Giant Rex, an extender if it gets banished. 1 Dino Wrestler Pankratops, Sidra for this deck. 2 copies of Scrap Raptor, which actually we're going to go ahead and get into the Scrap engine. So for those who don't know what this actually does, you can target 1 monster you control, destroy it. Also during your main phase this turn, you can normal summon 1 Scrap monster in addition to your normal summon. If this card is destroyed by an effect of a Scrap card, and keep in mind this can include itself, and sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Scrap Factory or a non-tuner Scrap monster from your deck to your hand. So yeah, definitely a great way just to get additional value. And this card is a tuner too, so that's really nice. So you can easily go into a free level 8 play with either Scrap Chimera or whatever. But anyway, move on. This is actually not required. Some people don't choose not to run it and just run 3 Scrap Raptors. I like it because, again, it's just good for the extension play. But once per turn, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Scrap monster in your graveyard, special summon that target to either player's field. So again, I just use it for the reborn effect in case of, it's like basically just follow it. That's all. That's the only reason why I like to use Scrap Golem. But again, you don't have to run it. You could go 3 Scrap Raptors if you choose to. And last but not least, 1 Scrap Chimera. Cannot be used as synchro material except for a synchro summon of a Scrap monster, but you generally just use it to go into like Scrap Wyvern and such. But anyway, So, where was I? Oh, when this card is normal summon, you can target one Scrap Tuner monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. So, yeah, it gives you back Scrap Raptor and pretty much it. So, that pretty much rounds up our main line of monsters. Now moving on to hand traps. For hand traps, playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I actually decided to go back to the Gamma package just because I am running Lambda, spoilers. And last but not least, 3 copies of Impern, still being like one of the best hand traps ever. So yeah, and plus Gamma is just so good because not only does it give you board presence, but it's a good way to combat other hand traps too. So if like you're going second and you need to like push for like draw power or anything like that, you could definitely work around it. But anyway, it's all going to be spells from here on out. So starting off with 3 copies of Fossil Deck, Borreload for Dinosaurs. 3 copies of Lost World, which is crazy good because, you know, give your opponent tokens. And it also combats Mystic Mine, which unfortunately didn't get banned alongside Imperial Order. But luckily enough, you know, there are ways so you can deal with it, so not to worry. 1 Terraforming, of course, to go with these. 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill. And for this deck, I decided to cut down Pot of Prosperity to only 2 copies this time. Before, I was running this at 3. But because of my extra deck, I feel like the extra deck's more valuable this time around, so that's why I decided to just cut it down to 2 and only use it if and when I have to use it, you know? 1 Called by the Grave, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. So, yeah, like I said, this deck kind of loses to back row, so I just want to have that 1 blowout card. And Pot of Prosperity actually does help me dig it out quite a lot, so you'd be surprised. But anyway, moving on to the extra deck. 1 copy of Scrap Wyvern. Requires 2 monsters, including a Scrap monster, which is pretty easy. You can target 1 Scrap monster in your graveyard, special summon it, then destroy 1 card you control. If another face-up Scrap monster is destroyed by a card effect while you control this monster, except during damage step, you can special summon 1 Scrap monster from your deck, then destroy 1 card on the field. So pretty good on, you know, just to like get some spot removal, basically. 1 Lambda, as I mentioned before, and this also enables you to activate your Gammas directly from your hand, even if you have a monster on the field. So yeah, Lambda is so good. 1 Pentastag, this is just primarily to give Tyranno piercing damage if I just want to, you know, close out games. I am running Almirage and Gardna, you know, just to get Pill live, as well as a Link Revo. And these guys, you know, these really help for like additional disruption, you know, 1 IP Masquerena and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. For my rank 4s, going with Dolka, I mean, might as well. 1 Logia, 1 Tornado Dragon just to deal with more back row. Dugaris, you know, if you want to double the power of your Tyranno, just keep in mind you will have to skip your next battle phase if you use that. And a Abyss Dweller because graveyard effects are still prevalent, so yeah. And the only 2 synchro monsters I'm playing are Borreload Savage Dragon and Ciphering Lord Omega, which is actually one of the ways to bring back your miscellaneous source. So definitely run these 2, and Borreload Savage Dragon just for additional disruption, because it is super easy to make level 8 synchro monsters in this deck. You'd be surprised. I was thinking of just playing Scrap Dragon just as it's just a funny little tech, but I decided against it because it's not quick effect, and at this point it's kind of an outdated card, so yeah. Now for those wondering why not run the DPE package, well, you can if you want to, but I choose not to because I do like the Scrap engine just a little bit more, so yeah. For the side deck, playing 3 copies of Lancia, because again, Eldritch. Now this is another card I'm experimenting with. So I cut Drone Lockbird because I feel like this card is actually going to be a lot better than most people expect. 3 copies of DD Crow. Now the reason it's not just specifically for the Eldritch matchup. This is also pretty good against DP, so like if you can force out its popping effect and goes to the graveyard, yeah, they have to declare to special summon a Destiny hero, but it doesn't target. So you could just DD Crow the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and now they're gonna have to special summon something else, and that pretty much just kills the engine. So yeah, DD Crow is so good. So like, and not to mention like for anything that has like a graveyard effect or just something that will give them added value, this is one of those cards to deal with it. So yeah, I think DD Crow is going to be really good this format. For my going second card, 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. 3 Twin Twisters, since, you know, I don't have to worry about Imperial Order anymore. And another card that's pretty good against the Sword Soul matchup, 3 copies of Survival's End, because they generate tokens and I generate tokens. So I feel like this is going to be like one of those cards that people are going to like sleep on, and yeah, this card can be a menace. So yeah, definitely check out Survival's End when you get a chance and see if you guys like it or not. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.